one is flavoring. You can also improve the flavor. You add mixed spices, or you can also grind the skinny kind called lemon rind using a grater. I grate it thinly. Even if you don't have this, you can use that as a flavor in the cake. Is that okay?
Yes.
Now, if the consistency is not enough, you can add what? Milk to thin it down. Do you see that? Now, there are different types of cakes. No, different methods of making cakes. Do you see that? We have the creaming method, where you cream fat with sugar. Is that clear? Now with that one, you make things like queen cakes, party cakes like birthday parties, wedding cakes. You use creaming what? Method. Now the second method is rubbing in. You make rubbing in. You measure fat and flour. You rub in with the finger tips until it resembles breadcrumbs. You have ever seen breadcrumbs?
Yes.
You see that? In that way, you can make cakes like rock buns, scones. Do you see that? Have you ever seen those things or eaten them?
Yes.
Rubbing in. You see? Where the amount of fat is half the amount of what? Flour. Is that okay?
Yes.
Now, for the queen cake, the amount of fat is 3/4 the amount of what? Flour. Do you see that? Now, normally, we use what is called as what? Basic recipe. Then you can adjust from that basic recipe. The basic recipe will give you an idea. We use 100 grams of what? Flour for a basic recipe. Now, if you use 100 grams of flour, you use 75 grams of fat and 75 grams of what? Sugar. You use 1 egg. You use 10 grams of what? Baking powder. This small teaspoon, you level it. You don't heap it. This is our baking powder. I've just poured it in. You get it like that. Now you level it. Do you see that? This. Do you see that? Not heaped. It is equivalent to 10 what? Grams. Do you see that? Then you can use vanilla as a flavoring. 1 teaspoon is enough, or 2. Then you can use a small teaspoon of this to add on it. Do you see that? You can add lemon drink to enrich it. Do you see that? And to even make it more tasty, you can add granulated what? Coconut what? Powder. Do you see that? Which we don't have it here. Granulated coconut powder. We don't have it here. So that is the basic recipe. Now if you want to make a cake of 1 kilo, now you will say, if 100 grams, in 100 grams you put what? 75 grams of fat. How many fat will I need for 1,000 grams, which is 1 kilo? Do you see that? How many eggs will I need for 1 kilo? How many grams of baking powder will I need for 1 kilo? That's why it is called what? Basic what? Recipe. You adjust from the basic what? Recipe. You just need to know in your head the basic recipe for you to do the proper measurement. Are we clear? Have we all understood the basic recipe? Okay. Now, the next method of making cake is what? Melting in method. You see that? You measure fat, you measure sugar, you melt it over heat. Do you see that? Low heat. Not boiling, melting. As you stir the sugar and it melts. Now when it has melted, then you can add in other ingredients. In this way, we make what is called what? Gingerbread. It is called gingerbread because it is baked in bread tin. I had a bread tin here. There's a long tin. Let somebody get it. That long tin is there. Next day, I can see from here. Small, there. It is that tin which is used for making bread. But it is what? A cake. Is that okay? Now, this is the bread tin. You see that? After mixing, you grease it with the fat so that it does not get stuck there. After baking, you pour it. Is that ginger what? Red. You put in more ginger, you have a feeling of that ginger. Now, the fourth one is whisking. What do we whisk? You get only the egg white, not the egg what? Yellow. You open it a little here, make a hole, you pour only the white. Measure your sugar and whisk it with this. This is the egg whisk. The handle is broken. You beat it until it becomes what? Frothy. Now, in the whisking method, you don't use any baking powder. Why? Because a lot of air gets incorporated in the process of what? Beating or whisking. And it is the air which acts as a raising agent. Do you see that? In that way, we bake what? What kind of cake? Sponge cakes. Have you eaten sponge cakes? That's how they are made. They smell a lot of what? Eggs. But to overcome that, you add vanilla. Do you see that? If you don't, they smell a lot of what? Eggs. Those are the methods of making cakes. Is that okay? Now having looked at the ingredients. Ingredients are things that we use for making the cakes. Now we are going to start by measuring. Accurate measurement is very important for accurate what? Products. Do you see that? So if you don't measure properly, the product may not come out well. Now, I need volunteers here to come and start measuring fat. Another person will measure sugar. Then we start creaming. We are using creaming in method. Any volunteer, can you come here? Measure fat. Another one measures what? Sugar. You are coming this side. Now, when you are measuring, this is a digital weighing scale. You switch it on from the red one here. Now you adjust it to 0. Do you see that? Before it is 0, don't measure. Do you see that? That means there is no weight. Now you get your fat. How many we are using? We are using 1 kilo. Is it 1 kilo? Yes, we are using 1 kilo flour. That means how many grams of fat are we using? 3/4. That 3/4 is for each cake. Do you see that? But we are going to use half. Do you see that? We don't have enough fat. We are going to use half. That means we are going to use 500 what? Grams. Do you see that? How many eggs shall we need? How many? If in 100 we need eggs. Now in 1,000, how many eggs do we need? 10. Do you see that? Yes. Okay. Can you start measuring? 500. Scoop there. And another one measures sugar and start the process of creaming. Sugar is how much? Sugar is supposed to be the same amount of fat, but because we don't want it to be too sweet, we are going to measure what? 300 what? Grams, which will still be what? Okay. If you use the one for recipe, it will be too sweet. Is that okay? Okay. Measure 500. Now, there you scoop it in. Where is the creaming thing? You scoop it here. Now measure the what? The sugar using this one. Measure sugar. Sugar scoop with this one. Adjust to 0. Press the red button. You do it when this one is weighing. Then the last one adjust to 0 first. When it is 0, you leave. Then, how much sugar are we measuring? 300 grams. Put a little. That is a little. Now you add here and you start creaming the sugar with what? The fat. This is what we do. We have put it in a long thing. This one is too small. Can you start creaming? Then another person comes to weigh the flour. Weigh 1 kilo of flour here. Come and weigh. And after weighing, you sieve it immediately. Who is weighing the flour? Who is the gas cooker? They're inside. You want to put in?
No, the
Huh? You check inside. If they are not occupied, you just put in. Now you, when it is 0, that means the weight is 0, including this one, there's no weight. Okay. Now, weigh 100 grams, 1 kilo of flour. Where is that one? Scoop with this one. After that, you sieve it. Put it here. Add there. Add. Get more. See, that's just 300. Add. And it is one. Add. Just a little more. Now, pour it in the sieve. You are going to sieve it later. First wait. Now, you measure 30 grams of what? Of baking powder. We can measure it here. The weight of this one is negligible. With a small spoon. Add, first wait. Add there until it is 30 grams. Add, it's not enough. Add, you see, until it is 30 grams. Is it 30? That is negligible. Is it 30 now? Now, you pour it here. Do you see that? Now, get 1 teaspoon of mixed spices. Put here. This one, get. Now, these dry ingredients, you sieve them together because there can be foreign bodies in it. Like the flour may have overstayed, they may be having weevils. You see that? There may have been maggots. There may be other things that may have that form in it. So this is another one to increase the what? Improve the flavor. So you sieve all the dry ingredients what? Together. Sieve that. Sieve. Don't leave the creaming to one person. She gets tired. Let another person come and cream. Let me show you how to do it. When you are creaming, this is what you do. To stop the dish from moving, put it on this. This is what you do. Have you seen this? You beat the sugar and what? Until it is fine enough, fluffy, soft enough. Do you see that? Is it difficult? No. It's not. It's still hard. When you are tired, another person comes. Now, we are going to make the lemon what? Green. Do you see that? That green outside covering, thinly, you break it using what? A grater. If you add into your cake to give the flavor, is that okay? If you break it too much, it will become bitter. You see that? Only this green outer cover is the one that you break. Now, how many eggs do we need? 10. Can somebody come and whisk the eggs? You get 10 eggs, you break it and whisk it. no cleaning. Keep changing it. Start giving the flavoring. So now when you are breaking the egg, you break once. Where is the bucket? You get one egg like this. You break once, not twice, so that the shell does not get cracked. You see that? Once. And you do that. Then after that, you start whisking it. Now, you bring this one. Until it's soft enough. Now when it is soft enough, you start adding the egg little by little. Have you seen it is done? Can you do that? Now when you're whisking, this is not how you do it. Get the handle got broken. This is how you are whisking it. Do you see that? Until all those bones are broken. This is called whisking. Can you continue? You said no much whisking. Who else is tired? Who else can come? Come. Try. But it's not hard. You don't have to use a lot of force. It is even softening now. Is it hard? No. You see. Now, if you had a machine, we have hand mixers. It uses electricity. You just connect and you move it whisks. You see that? It grins. Oh, we have those big ones, commercial ones. You just put there, you switch on. It creams. And it even whisks the eggs. It mixes the whole thing. Your work will just be to come and pour it in the baking tins. You see that? But because we don't have that, we have to use our hands. We have to start somewhere. Slowly by slowly, then you buy a hand one, then you buy that big one which uses electricity and it is very expensive. 3.5, the smallest. You see that? It does all the work of the cake, which makes it very, very easy for one to bake a cake. But if you are going to use hands like this, people might fear because of the work that is involved. Now, it is about to be soft. You see that? Rest it somewhere so that it doesn't move and not disturb you. This is the cleaning method of making what? Cake. The party cakes, the birthday cakes that are made, that you eat are made in this way. Do you see that? Now we are going to start adding the egg one by one. When we are finished adding all the eggs, then we shall add the what? The flour. Is that okay? Now, when you're adding the egg, you don't add all at a go. Little by little. You add a little, you first cream. You add a little, you first mix. If you add all at a go, it will curdle. And if it curdles, the air will what? Escape. Do you see that? So we're aiming at the beating incorporates air, which helps in the rising of the cake dough. This is not the mixture. Is that clear? So now when you add a little like this, you first mix it thoroughly before you add the next one. Add the next one a little. That's how we're going to add until we finish adding all the egg. You can come and mix. It's not difficult, it's now soft. Do that. Don't add yet. First mix, it's not thoroughly mixed. Mix. If you don't learn, it is up to you. You don't get carried away. You see that? I told you, you don't need an oven to make a cake. You can make a cake over sigiri. Isn't it? You like the sigiri, you get a big heavy saucepan, fill it halfway with what? Sand. You heat the sand until it is hot. You make your mix of egg, put in a baking tin, put it there, cover it with a metal cover, add hot charcoal on top. That means the heat will come from on top and on from down. You see that? Your cake will bake perfectly well. You see that? So that's how many people have started using sigiri. Then from there you upgrade yourself to a kuta. You see that? Slowly by slowly. Just start by making a workstation for your sister. Or even for yourself on a Sunday for eating. Do you see that? To learn. Is that okay? Yes. Then with the time you add. With the time, you will do perfectly well. Do you see that? There are people who bake cakes using charcoal stove and they sell it to you. You see that? You can also do the same. Is that okay? Is that okay? We never give up. That is our motto. So you start slowly. If you make a mistake, you what did I do wrong? When you do the next one, you improve on it slowly by slowly and you become perfect. Is that clear? Yes. So don't fear. We all start with the guys. Is that okay? Another person, because you find it difficult to clean.
Stand.
Okay.
Don't be shy.
No, you go and stand there and wait for the next time.
Yes.
You can't just keep
Don't be shy.
At this time, I don't want you to cuddle. Add a little by little. The other one, when I was not there, you cuddled. Who asked to speak? You beat it thoroughly before you add the next one.
But I think we should also engage the people this side as well.
Yes, I'm asking for volunteers. They don't want. That's why I didn't want many people to sit here. At least 3 lines, the other one will go there because they do nothing here. You see, I want the people around them. It is only these ones, but they are learning. You'll be escorting them. You see that? Hey, I tell my students, if you don't participate in the class, you escort them from the lab to the classroom. You see that? From the class, we go for lunch. From lunch, go back. You escort them like this while you are getting the money if you don't participate. So, it is not difficult. Come and try. The next person is you. That's okay? Yeah. We bring in turns. Is it difficult? Yes, you see. Everybody must participate. There was a girl here, S1. She said she started baking using CK. She has saved 90,000. LS1. You see that? Can't you do it? In the first group. Can't you do it? And she was now more interested asking, how do you do this? How can I do this? You see that? You can do the same. Life is not about collar jobs now. You see that? That's why these skills, different skills are taught you. When you live here, you go and survive on one. You see that? You may pass very well. There's no job. You see that? There are many people in the winner with their degrees. You see that? You create your own job where nobody, you'll be your own boss. Nobody will back at you at any time. Do you see that? Please, learn these things, skills. May be useful for you in the future. When you, in fact, when you go home, you ask mommy to give you ingredients. I hope you have written the best what? Recipe. Go and bake, even if you don't have what? A cooker using a sigiri. Start there little. You can start with 300 grams. Is that okay? Little for learning. Next time you go to 500. You keep increasing with the time. You see that practice makes what? Perfect. Continue. Add more. A little. Some people may not be interested. Learn about ice cream making, yogurt making. You have the opportunity now others don't have. You see that? So, my mother told us, if you want to survive well on this earth, she's still there, she's a hard-working lady. Use your brain and your hands. You will survive very well on this earth. You see that? Use your brain for thinking. Now put the thing that you have thought of in practice using your what? Hands. You will lack no money. You will not be a beggar. Do you see that? You will always have small monies around you to solve your problems. Head and what? Hands. Is that clear? Not only sleeping, waiting for money from NS1 started and set yourself up 90,000. You see that? Can't you do that? Can't you? You can. Now that we are learning a few of this, if you are interested, you ask more from people. There are many people who are baking. Do you see that? Have you added more? You see, it has not cut me. Let's continue. The next one is cream. If you had a machine, you would have already finished. You would not be baking. You see that? My friend, come. Go and start. When I finish creaming, go and sit down and leave way for other people.
Thank you.
So what you are making is what? Thin what? Thin. Add. If you are doing enough, make sure you beat thoroughly. I don't want to add. When you add with air gets what? Air escapes. You see that? Add a little now. Put this thing on top so that it doesn't disturb you. Until we finish adding, then we fold in what? The flat, which has a mixture of spices and what? Baking what? Powder. Where is the folding sheet? Now, get the baking tin here. There are supposed to be two. Bring. Now, we have the paper cases. When I finish mixing there, you put them in this grooved what tin. If you don't have the paper case, you will grease this with what? Fat. You see that? So that after baking, the cake can be removed easily. If you don't grease, the cake will get stuck here. You see that? Even if you bang it like that until they break into pieces. If you have this one, there's no need. You will now just arrange here. You see that? And come and put your what? The cake in this one. When you have the paper casing, can you put that one here? There's another tin. I don't know where it is. The baking tin. Somebody may have already taken it. Can you go inside and look for the baking tin again? We have it. You see, you don't have to do like this. Just stand like this. You see? You don't go over there. You see that? You just stand. Have you seen? It's beginning to cuddle. Have you seen? No Don't worry. That's why we have to have wear underneath when we are working. It's beginning to happen. Up. The next person, Kurim. You go. When you are tired, you go and sit down, another person comes. My friend has come here. These people have. You see, it is beginning to cuddle. Do you see? When you see what cuddling means, do you see that? Have you seen?
No.
Have you seen?
Shouldn't be like that.
It will be like that. It's beginning to cuddle. That means there was some addition before it was properly cleaned. Now in that way, air, which is supposed to help in rising, escapes. Do you see that? But still it will come out.
Excuse me.
Yeah, disagreement here. You add it on. Now somebody has not the bread in this one. Somebody now has taken the bread. But that is very bad. We divided the teams. Add more. You had 2 teams.
Just think it.
Have we finished that? Not yet. You have to add a little by little. It will not come out. So we have to hurry up.
Try to avoid you from actually.
I thought you were putting there lemons.
Yes,
how it has carried. Badly.
Madam, what happens when it carries?
The air escape services. But still you go on. Badly. Now we add the flour. You can add at once or you can.
Little by little.
You start folding. Were these eggs 10?
Yeah.
You see? If you start like this, you move like this. If you start like this, you move like that throughout the next thing. You see that? You don't tie it like this. Is that okay? Until it is smooth. This is folding in. If the consistency is not enough, you add what? You add milk, not water. Because the size of the eggs were small, that's not standard size of what? Cake. You see that? You mix until it is what? Smooth. Can somebody mix also? So, one direction. Until it is smooth. It's not a smooth and what? If you put it like this, it will come out in the product. Is it hard? Until it mix like that what? Dropping. That's okay? This one is not dropping. Let me see. This is not dropping. So you add a little milk. You see that? See? You see that? So you add a little what? Milk. Have you continue? No. That's where the eggs are small. If they were standard egg size of eggs, the big ones. Not 1 kilo. 10. From the basic level. 1 4 100 grams. In 1 kilo, how much? You see, there should be no lumps. The consistency should be what? Smooth. You see, have you seen small lumps still there? So you continue. Bringing that which is inside there until when it is what? Dropping. And it is what? Smooth. That is what is called what?
The lemon. Did she put it? You asked
Now,
her.
we are going to put. Now you add the lemon in. We add vanilla essence.
Vanilla essence.
Everything you measure. This is just a flavoring. Can you mix now? Salt, you just put a pinch. You see, that is what a pinch is. You see that? Just for taste. A pinch of it. The air escapes. The air which helps in making the thing to rise. That's why you don't do like that.
Is that the same way you make the big cake?
Yes.
So I can either put this in this.
A big tin or this one. Okay, but for that one you make a rich one. You use the fat should be 3/4 there. This one is not very good. Let me see now. Now you put it when it is just what? Dropping. Is it better now?
Yes.
Now you get your tin. Now you get your tin which has the paper casing, and you start now putting in the grooves. See that? And then the next thing is you go to what? Bag. Just put like this, you drop slowly. You don't feel it because it's going to what? Rise. Is that okay? Make sure that the spoon does not touch the paper casing inside. This is enough. Can you continue now? Some people can use the wooden stick, that wooden spoon, put here so that, let me go and roll like that. You light the oven 5 minutes before putting in, so that the oven heats equally. Is that okay? Yes. Let me go and light the oven now. Because if you light it early, you waste power. Now, nobody asked me why I've covered my head. You cover your head because air breaks anyhow. So that does not break and fall off in the what? Ingredients. That's why you have to tie your head completely when you are in the kitchen cooking. Because we don't eat what? Hair. You continue. Why don't you put it there? Why don't you put it there? Because you don't need that. You need that flavoring content, which is on the cover. You see that? Though you can also put a little bit if you want a lemon taste. You also put that. You see that? A little bit. The sugar itself is a preservative. If you are not going to use it for, keep it for a long time, then you use waraji. You see that? It is a drying agent. And it dries out the cake up, and the cake does not get what? Spoiled. But for 2 to 3 days, the sugar itself is a preservative.
Maybe 45 days. If you want it for long. Not for so long, like 1 week.
Like those wedding cakes, they put in that water. But a little, not too much.
As you're mixing or after it has?
After you have mixed like that, you add it.
Just like you were adding.
It acts as a preservative.
Now the music goes
A preservative preserves the cake. The cake does not get spoiled. But if you not,
just
it will get spoiled.
Just put it. And we continue taking directly.
Continue filling this one. Fill it and take it in.
At what temperature are you baking?
Procedure for making soft cakes.
Put on the No. Sponge cake, we don't cream. When you're making sponge cake, what method did I say we do? Whisking. You whisk the egg white with sugar. You don't add what? Baking what? Powder. So that the beating of the egg and the sugar traps air. You see that? That air is the one that acts as a raising what? Agent. That's it. You don't use it like that. Can you put it in the oven, this one, last one?
So the yolk is not this.
I have a question.
The yolk will not make it what to bring that thing. It will be liquid. It will be liquid. It will not bring that froth to trap air.
So like the quantity of eggs now increases.
Hey.
Yes.
Instead of 10 minutes.
Excuse me.
Yes. There's a recipe
What
for-
temperature?
For the queen takes 200 for 20 minutes. Between 20 and 25, depending on the amount of power there. If it is low, you take 25. If it is high, you take 20. It's enough for baking queen cakes. Can we go and put it to bake in the gas cooker?
Yes.
You can come and ask many questions later. Let's first put them as you wait for our cake. Okay, that is it. In the gas cooker here. Then you can ask the questions if you have. Temperature of baking to
Ask which cook. Please ask.
the oven. Let me come. You bring the cake here. Wait, yeah. Then the other one is the electric car. Don't remove it until it's rising. If not, the whole car will what? Block it. This is not what we wait. Who is timing it? 20 minutes. It will be ready. Time between 20 and 25 minutes. The cake will be ready, and we shall share it. Is that okay? Yes. We demonstrate after that in kitchen. Any questions? Now, you have a pen. People don't want to write a basic recipe down from which you adjust. The basic recipe will guide you into knowing how much to use for 1 kilo, 2 kilos, 3 kilos. That's clear. Now, this is the people who are talking. You can keep quiet. If you don't want to listen, keep quiet. Is that okay? The basic recipe, we normally use 100 grams. 100 grams of flour, 75 grams of what? Fat. That is for rich cake. Because the amount of fat to flour is 3/4. You see that? Then you use the same amount of sugar, which is 75 grams. But I told you, if you use it like that, it will be too sweet. So you better reduce it to make it 50 around there. Then we use what? 1 egg. We use 10 grams of what? Baking powder. Or 1 teaspoon level. Did I show you how to level it? Yes, do you see that? Then for flavoring, you can use vanilla. To that basic recipe, use 1 teaspoon. It's enough. Now you can add, to make it more richer in flavor, you add 1 teaspoon of what? Mixed spices. You can add lemon ring. Do you see that? You get 3, 4 lemons. You just break the outer thin cover. That is the lemon ring. Add into it. In fact, if you don't have vanilla, you can use lemon ring. You can use this as what? Flavoring. But because we have it, we have used all the 3. And you will see the outcome. So, this basic recipe will help you in baking any amount of cake you want. Because you know, if I want to bake 3 cakes, those are how many grams? 3,000 grams. Do you see that? If 1 gram, if 1 gram, you use 75 grams of sugar. Do you see that? How about 3,000 grams? Do you see that? You will calculate. Do you see that? That's why it is called basic recipe. You add just from it. It gives you the knowledge, and you not make a mistake if you know the basic recipe by egg. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. Any more questions? Yes, please. Yeah, the powdered sugar is the castor sugar. In fact, it's very fine, and it creams faster, but it is more what? Expensive. You see that? That's why we use this one. Or if you don't want this one, you can crush it further, make it finer. You see that? Then you cream using it. But if you can afford the castor sugar, you can. But not for commercial purposes. You want to gain much interest.
There's a question.
Mm-hmm. Yes? What? You remove what is in your mind?
You said I told you can adjust for measurement.
You can adjust for the basic recipe.
Yeah, but I wouldn't know how to measure 500 grams by cup at home. 300 grams, 75 grams. I can't.
500 grams? You can have a shop nearby. You can measure there in a container. Let me tell you, you can get a dish right. Let me tell you, if you don't have, you have a shop nearby. You go with your free scale. You see that?
How much is it?
Yes. That's how you do it. Yes? You don't have what?
If you don't have something to measure with, like the electronic
This weighing scale. I've told you, there are weighing scales which are cheaper than them. 30,000 they are there, 50 they are there. You don't have to go for this one if you cannot afford. You start small, then you grow big. Do you see that? Yes. You do not need this one actually. Do you see that? A small one.
She was like
She was giving a solution.
Yeah.
Yes. That what?
Let her.
For example, a blue band which is already 500 grams, and just put in, let's say, the flour inside the tin and not the
Yes.
But
But
the weight of blueband is not the same as sugar.
the weight of what? Sugar or the weight of flour. Do you see that? Mm. Mm-hmm. Another question, yes? Somebody is asking down there. Any more questions? So, when you go home, go and make 300 grams of cake. Start there. You give your people to eat. If there's a mistake, you identify. Where did I make a mistake? Make another one. You now, if you see a group, now go to 500 grams. You see that? Go to 800 grams. Go to 1,000 grams. In that way, you become a perfect what? Baker. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Start small. You use it for breakfast. Do you see that? I've told you, you don't need water cooker. You can bake on sigiri. Start there. Is that okay? Then if you have the cooker, it's okay. If you don't have, start on sigiri. People bake on sigiri, those who don't have, and they sell the cakes to you. As I described to you how. Any question? Are you satisfied now? Can you go and try making cakes?
My explanation about using.
How long do you put it in the oven?
Because some
Once
people
it's
don't understand.
okay. The sigiri, this is not only sigiri we cook food on. Do you know it? Eh?
Yes.
Where you put chocolate.